Welcome to the Daily Objective, day 166 of the war in Israel. We're going to talk about one of Al Jazeera's journalists today who has suffered some brutal treatment at the hand of Israel, and all he did was report the news, right? Right. Well, we'll talk about that. We talked about Qatar's yesterday we talked about basically Qatar funding what we could call the academic wing of Hamas, the American universities, and today we're gonna talk about how they're funding the different part of the PR machine. It is, yes, Robert, it is a three-man TDO today. I know it's one of those days. It's kind of like somewhere in between a TDO and a TRS, but time-wise, it's going to be less than a TDO because we started late. Hey, Daniel. Hey, Mark. How's it going?
Hey
Uh,
man,
hey, I'm superstar.
Um, so I want to quickly start just with a few, at the beginning we did some news updates. We're not going to do a long news update, but Israel has been operating in Shifa Hospital and has had some success, has caught some, high-ranking officials who I guess maybe uh, like had a cold or something. I don't know what they were doing in a hospital, but they were
I think I
there.
saw a story about them catching a head of Islamic Jihad.
Was it the head of Islamic Jihad or was it
I
one
can
of
quickly check.
the very senior figure? And a few senior figures in Hamas have also been eliminated or neutralized, or however you want to call it. They are with their virgins. Um,
good. Yay.
but pretty. Oh, and there's been a successful operation in Jenin as well in the West Bank. Three terrorists died, including one who has been wanted for a very long time. Of course, none of this is what I would like to see, but it's a bit of what I would like to see. I'd like to see more of it, but it's been a good day in that sense. It's been a bad day in a different sense because, or maybe this was yesterday, but Canada declared that it will no longer sell weapons to Israel, which means Israel now faces a question that may have never been answered in the history of warfare, which is how do you win a war without Canadian weapons? Um, of course, Canada has not been selling weapons to Israel, so this is a completely empty statement, but it has been made nonetheless. So it is now a thing. Sorry, our Canadian audience. I know. Sorry, Christopher, I am getting you started. When we talk about Canada, we're talking about your government, not about you. But yeah, the government, I'm not a fan. I was not a fan before October 7th, regardless of their dealing with Israel, and I'm definitely not a fan now. All right. So this news came from our friend Eitan Fischberger, who is a friend of the channel, has been on in the past, is scheduled to be on next week as well. He in one of his great Twitter threads, by the way, if you're not following Eitan Fischberger and you're interested in what's going on, you should. There's a link to the thread also in the live chat in the description. He starts with a thread with this headline in Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera journalist beaten, arrested by Israeli forces from Gaza hospital. Media watchdogs decry Ismail al-Ghoul's arrest and demand his immediate release after he is taken from Al Shifa Hospital. Uh, all right. Eitan decided to do what he has done very successfully in other cases, like he did with UNRWA, and he looked into it. And I'm reading for the first tweet in this thread. What I found was a highly sophisticated, concerted effort to, for lack of a better word, manufacture a legitimate journalist out of whole cloth. Now, before we continue, one of the things we were uh, talking about before was, is this really manufacturing a journalist out of nothing? Because later on in the thread, he does mention that this guy used to work for some of the Hamas's own media outlets in Gaza. Now, you say Hamas media outlet, it sounds like a joke, but so should Al Jazeera. I don't see any qualitative difference between the two. Daniel, do you want to clarify some of that issue? And yeah.
So yeah, we had some confusion about what exactly he was, what exactly he worked, what is he now. So yeah, he used to work for Hamas, and several media production companies. Uh, but basically, what happened is after October 7 happened, he started working for Al Jazeera, and basically his everything about him was in a sense recreated. I mean, maybe I have it's kind of hard to talk and show pictures, but basically if you look at its current social media, all of them were created in a time span some months after October 7th. So his Twitter was created on January 24, Facebook on December 17, 23, and his Telegram group was created on February 3rd, 2024. Uh, but there is, do you want to talk about this a little bit, or should we
Yeah,
go on?
Mark, do you want to give your thoughts on this? And Daniel, you will in the meantime share some of the stuff, right? That,
One of the things that I have to deal with every single day on social media is these disgusting, idiotic pro-Palestinian folks who saturate Twitter with lies. And then they point to lies to justify their lies. So they'll point to a Al Jazeera crappy journalist like this to justify their rationalizations. So I can't tell you how happy I am to see a jackass like this outed, to see one more lie outed for any rational person to see. Unfortunately, I don't know that it has much of an effect on the people who are out there passing this stuff along. They just do it anyway. Now, I find the prominent accounts that are doing it, and I dog them. I troll them mercilessly, and sometimes they get so mad they respond, which is great because then I just open up I open up the floodgates of hell on them. But this is what they do, man. They're a bunch of liars. They are liars.
and Daniel will share some of the evidence of that now. Or did you already?
Oh, yeah, I just showed it before. So if you roll back, there is a Twitter post or the Twitter profile with the date, and as well as the Facebook profile with the date.
Right. And so some of his posts since then have been, different from what he has posted in the past. So Eitan has gone to his past post. He also went to his Facebook. There's a thing with um, Al Jazeera journalists, I think specifically, needing to pretend to the West that they are not biased, although it's very difficult to do that. If you ever watch Al Jazeera, they have a reporter. I don't know why Israel allows this, but they have a reporter in Jerusalem, and they always say our correspondent in occupied East Jerusalem. They don't refer to the IDF, they refer to the IOF, which is terrorist speak for Israeli occupation force. And if you look at their website, that whenever they say, whenever any country designates anybody a terrorist or a terrorist organization, they always put terrorist in quotation marks. So and by the way, this has been Al Jazeera's modus operandi for since 9/11. Yeah, Mark.
Razi, you know why they let Al Jazeera in there to report. It's altruism. It's the altruistic ethic, man. They gotta show how that they're morally taking the high ground by letting the enemy in to abuse them. Come on, man. They should ban these fuckers. Pardon my French.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's part of Israel's whole campaign to show the world that they are that Israel isn't what the enemies of Israel say it is, and Israel not only pays a heavy price in the PR war, but pays a price in the actual war.
Yeah, so I think Israel should know that we can't keep trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. The world community that's mobilized against you now will not be convinced. I mean, Israel. I'm speaking directly to the Israeli people. You already go to you split hairs, you risk IDF soldiers' lives in order to protect the lives of these Palestinians who are mobilized as a society against you. And still, people say you're indiscriminately bombing. Still, they say you are committing genocide. So stop. Just stop. Stop with the pretense. You're at war with a culture that needs to surrender and renounce violence. Period. That's all you have to make them do. That's what your job is. Do it.
Yeah, in that Lex Friedman debate that we were talking about, I've said this, one of the clearest moments was when somebody from the pro-Israel side asked the guy who's not Finkelstein from the pro-terrorist side, should there have been any military? Yeah, I keep forgetting his name. Sorry, Daniel.
Moin Rabbani.
Rabbani, yeah, this is not like me doing to Destiny what Finkelstein is. If I actually debated him, I would remember his name. But should there have been any military response to October 7th? And his answer was no. So I think that is the clearest statement of who these people are and what they wish for Israel and for Jews in general. I want
Yeah,
to, yeah.
just quickly, so we can show, because some people were complaining about, I had a bit of a mess with my pictures. So first we mentioned the Al Jazeera article. Then, yeah, here you can see his Twitter profile. As you see, joined January 24. This is his Facebook, again, December 17, 23. And this is his, I believe this is one of his first Instagram posts, and this is November 28, 23. And I also have his TikTok, which again you see January 3rd,
You know,
or the other way.
all that's happened to this guy is he's been beaten and jailed.
So far. I mean, hopefully he's somewhere in a
Well, he was
settlement.
released.
Oh, was he? Well,
Lovely.
yeah, by the way, yeah, you mentioned his TikTok. Yeah, unlike the Ayn Rand Center UK, he is not banned from TikTok. Yeah, we have been banned for being pro-Israel, but he is very much welcome on that platform. Michael says it's free speech. Banning speech actually hurts your cause. I mean, so no, it's not free speech when a dictatorship, a dictatorship has a propaganda network, and you allow it during a time of war in your country, and not only allow it, but allow its correspondence into your country. That does not fall under free speech. This is an enemy, an enemy activity against you in a time of war. Now, for that to be the proper way to designate it, Israel has to actually declare Qatar an enemy, which it refuses to do, which makes it a bit more difficult, and which was why Al Jazeera is still operating in Israel. The right thing to do is to say, no, Qatar is the enemy. And by the way, part of the right thing to do would have been to operate militarily in Qatar, at least to get the leaders of Hamas. But of course, we know how that would have worked out. All right, I want to read a couple of yeah, I agree with Magnus Opus. Would you let Goebbels do his thing? No, I would not. So, and I agree it's the same thing. So uh, there was something I wanted to read. So from Eitan's thread, I'll read a couple of tweets. So he says here are the first posts that we saw of his official Instagram and TikTok accounts. In other words, unlike many of the Al Jazeera journalists who have been exposed as terrorists or terror supporters since October 7th due to their social media activity, much of this guy's social activity was inaccessible, or so I initially thought. And then you see what we can share now, which is Eitan says, turns out he has a personal Facebook on which he loves to post his love for Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Remember, this is on his this is on the Facebook, the personal Facebook of this journalist from Al Jazeera. This is Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of October 7th, and the hero of the Palestinian people since October 7th, the person they want leading them into the future. So this is what this journalist who Al Jazeera is reporting has been beaten, for being a journalist. This is what he posted on his personal Facebook in the past. Daniel.
Yeah, I'm just showing the pictures. There were three. So these were from 2021. And again, you see his great admiration for uh, the leader of Gaza, Yahya Sinwar.
Yeah, and Yihya Sinwar's defense, at least he's wearing a mask. I'm sure he was socially distancing there, so he's not as bad as you think he. Mark.
Well, I want to just quickly jump in talking about masks, and I think this is some of the later posts. Try to guess what he thinks the COVID was caused by, and I don't mean by what, but by who. Uh, I
Of
don't think
course it
you'll be
was the
surprised.
Jews. Of course it was the Jews. Come on, man. The Jews are behind every problem that strikes the world. Was I wrong?
It's the journalist, right? Or Sinwar. You're muted.
Oh, yeah, it's the journalist. Let me quickly show. It's in Arabic, but I have a translation here. The greatest epidemic is the Israeli entity and every Arab trying to normalize it as reality to coexist with them.
Oh, so that's it. So he used COVID as he exploited COVID as a moment to make an equivalence between that epidemic and the Jewish
Oh,
presence.
and I see. I
Scumbag.
can't read Arabic, but I can
Ju-
guess what hashtag COVID-48 means. That's of course the year that Israel was founded. By the way, Daniel, is did he make this himself? Is he like the Daniel of Hamas or Al Jazeera? Like this would
Oh,
make a good thumbnail for a pro
that's
Hamas.
that's a good thumbnail. Thank you for equating me to a
Not
Hamas journalist. And I should just say, because there is the second line. By the way, I always find it funny when there's Arabic numbers in like Arabic text, and they look completely out of line, like they don't blend in at all. But the second line is 72 years of continuous crime and abuse against Palestinians. The most recent being exposing Palestinian prisoners to the global pandemic.
God, these people are just shameless, man. They're shameless.
Yeah. And again, remember, like when you see the people who, we're supposed to consider to be serious thinkers in the West, serious journalists in the West, they will refer to Al Jazeera so often because Al Jazeera is on the ground, like they're there, they're a part of the Middle East, they know the Middle East psychology and so on. Yeah, Al Jazeera's journalists are people who think that COVID was caused by Jews, people who support October 7th, and yeah, people who were previously working as journalists for Hamas, the people behind October 7th. All right, should we? Yeah.
No,
Uh,
I was
I have two more posts from him, but I'm not
Is
sure where you're
is
going
that
at.
from are we going to the Twitter that he disabled?
Uh, sure, I can. I think I can show that. Oh
So
wait,
yeah, yeah.
uh, go on. I'll check.
So yeah, he had an old X account which Eitan came by. He was a journalist at Hamas-run news outlets Philistine and Al Risala. Uh,
By the way, there is a new site starting up on X called Israel Digital Army. I have joined this, and it's going to be a place where people who are pro-Israel can have a hub of information that they can use to fight all of this disinformation, misinformation. They're starting to realize now that social media is a front in the Gaza war. It is a front. So I feel like now I am a soldier in the front lines of the war that's actually winning for the other side through lies and disinformation and jackoffs like this, who should be more than beaten. He should be, well, I won't go there. I was going to go there,
yeah,
but I
and
won't.
by the way, that I believe the person setting that up is a regular viewer of this channel. Um,
Yes.
yeah, Daniel.
So yeah, here is his old Twitter, and yeah, so the first post, the COVID post I talked about, yeah, that's from that old Twitter, and then there is the second one, which again is in Arabic, but says alternative tools are a treasure in the hands of all the young people of the West Bank, down with the annexation decision. And here he shows many ways the West Bank Palestinians can fight back, or the young people specifically of West Bank.
Look at that. They can run over people. They can use butcher knives and hatchets. They can throw rocks and rockets and Molotov cocktails. What an inspiring social network these folks have.
Anyone jumping in now? Oh, did Razi freeze?
No, I'm still here, but yeah, did you want to continue, Daniel?
No, I think that's those are the two posts from his old Twitter. I have two more posts from his old, or from his Facebook if we want to show that.
Sure.
So yeah, this is one. I'm not sure I have much about this one. But yeah, on the first one, you can read it. It's about I think it's a PFLP, uh, either,
Yeah, that is the
yeah,
Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, a communist terrorist organization which we've mentioned here in the past used to be much more prominent than it is today, but it is still around. They've gone more the Islamist route, so communism supposedly doesn't work together with that. But yeah,
yeah. If you have the Twitter thread open, I believe Aitan wrote a bit more about these two. Then there is the second one, and maybe you can find it. I don't have it in front of me right now. Maybe I can quickly find text about this person. Okay, so this is Dia al-Sabarini, an Al-Aqsa Martyr Brigade's terrorist who was killed in a gunfight with the IDF. And yeah, again, he called him a hero. Uh, yeah,
yeah, and the head of the Popular Front cell was also killed in a gun battle. There's his name there. It doesn't really matter, but that was back in 2017. It doesn't say with whom, but you know they led their gunfights, so it could have been anyone. It could have been Israel, could have been some other Palestinian faction. But in any case, yeah, it seems, you know, this is um, we've spoken in the past about how there's different factions and they sometimes hate each other. They hate each other. They sometimes hate each other enough to fight, kill each other. There have been near wars between Hamas and Fatah. They're not on good terms nowadays, by the way. Hopefully something is brewing there. But the one thing they're all united behind, you can be a fan of Yahya Sinwar, the leader in Gaza of the Islamist Hamas, or you can, while at the same time being a fan of somebody from the Communist Popular Front, because the ultimate goal everybody is on board with is get rid of the Jews, get rid of them by killing them. So yeah, this is what we're dealing with, and again, this is what we're dealing with when we listen to the media, when we listen to specifically different sources in the media. Here in the West, it's shocking when we hear Western journalists lie to get people to the pro terrorist position, but we also have in the West a media outlet that is sponsored by a state sponsor of terrorism, by the place where Hamas's leaders are you know, living comfortably in luxury hotels and you know, have their billions of dollars. And yeah, remember that when anybody cites Al Jazeera, at least if you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, let them know what Al Jazeera is, and if they still think that is a worthwhile source, I think you can write that person off, or you can send them to Mark's Twitter, and he will put them in their place.
Go, baby.
All right. Any final thoughts on this story?
Whenever I hear Al Jazeera screaming about some form of injustice, I know they're on the opposite side, and I would be screaming for not just to beat this guy, but to hang him up by his genitals in the public square, and let the families of the people who have been taken hostage come by and beat him like a piñata. That would be too good for him. Life is too good for this guy. I say send him to his 72 virgins now.
Yeah. By the way, just Daniel, before I go to your final thoughts, it's worth mentioning that Al Jazeera gained prominence after 9/11, and a part of that is because they did have uh, you did hear things from them that you wouldn't get in other media outlets, like actual Al Qaeda spokespeople and so on. And I think it was at some point of Bin Laden, like a statement from Bin Laden himself. Why is that? It's because those people feel comfortable. They feel at home in a terrorist news organization, and yeah. If there's a Bin Laden video on Al Jazeera, yeah, pay attention to it. But if they're telling you what the news is, remember, those are the people that Bin Laden trusts. You probably should not. Daniel, final thoughts?
I recommend everyone to go and check out the Twitter thread. I think there were a couple things we missed out, and I think Aitan even posted or retweeted. Uh, I don't see it in front of me, but some other person who went into this investigation and found some other things. So yeah, real interesting stuff, and yeah, you should really follow Aitan because he has been a source of many of our really good
Yeah.
videos.
I followed him. I posted the thread with thread attached in the quote. So if you want to go to my Twitter, it'll be up there right now. Scroll through that thread. It's very informative if you want to know what kind of lying sacks of ass we are fighting out there.
Yeah, Eitan is great. Eitan is going to be on the channel next week, probably Tuesday. We'll keep you posted on when that is and what the topic is. We're out of time, but very quickly, Mark, your Twitter.
Mark R. Pellegrino. I'm the check mark. Don't be fooled by the crazy wannabes. Mark R. Pellegrino check mark.
Daniel, your YouTube.
It's called the Damned Dan.
I'm at Razi Ginzberg on Twitter. The reality show starts in a minute. We're going to talk about Eylon Levy, the famous Israeli spokesperson who is a spokesperson no more. We'll talk about why. Join us for that. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.